I call the member for Herbert.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, this month marks the 12 months since the devastating floods which hit my electorate of Townsville. A whole year of both pain, heartache and loss for many residents, and resilience and recovery for many others. It is difficult to fathom that it has only been 1 year. So much has happened. I remember the night the text message warnings came rolling through. It had been pelting down with rain non-stop for days, and there were a lot of people becoming pretty uneasy about the weather and the flash flooding that was happening around town. But soon attention turned to the dam, which had reached levels of more than double its capacity within a very short amount of time. As the decision was made to start opening the gates, the Ross River swelled and the inundation of hundreds of homes and businesses began. No one knew exactly what was coming or what to expect. What followed was the evacuation of thousands of people. Some got out before the floodwater took hold, but for others, it was too late. It was then that we saw the incredible community of North Queensland come together amidst adversity. As roads became rivers, anyone with a tinny was out on the water. They were bravely risking their own lives and reaching residents whose homes had turned to islands. Then there was the immediate aftermath. The devastation was real as people cleaned up, throwing out their muddy belongings and hosing out their homes they worked so hard for. As stories emerged of residents who had lost everything, even more stories came out of generous and selfless acts of members of the community who just wanted to help their fellow Townsvillians. It all made me very proud to call Townsville home. As the months have gone by, we reached the year-long milestone. There has been a lot of progress, but there's also a long way to go. Plenty of people have still not returned to their homes, unable to afford repairs or still waiting on the insurers to pay up. Many small business owners are only just reopening, or in the case of some of the motels on Bowen Road, for example, are still at work in the process. To date, the federal government has provided help in the form of cash grants to individuals and small business owners to the tune of $42.3 million in the Townsville area. But I'm under no illusion that this will not put an end to all the problems that people are facing. So I want to say to the people of Herbert, if you're still hurting, if you're still struggling, please get in touch with me. And if you need help, please reach out to my office. If there's red tape that needs cutting through, I want to know about it. If your insurance premium has gone through the roof, I want to know about it. And there's another thing that has become very clear through this event that we'll talk more about after this, is the high insurance premiums. I want to pay a special tribute to the hundreds of defence and emergency services personnel who gave their all, serving their community through those tough days, and many had their houses inundated by water. They put in extra hours, they took risks, all for the sake of looking after the community that they love. But for them, it's not all about Townsville. I was so delighted to hear that during the recent bushfire crisis that has plagued down south of Townsville, New South Wales and Victoria, where people's lives have been lost, houses, properties, businesses engulfed by flames, that they deployed to help their fellow Australians, people themselves who have been through a terrible disaster only a year ago, who wanted to help other communities. And as members of the 5th Aviation Regiment from Townsville flew down, so did 52 firefighters and North Queensland Rural Fire Brigades. So I'd like to thank them for their service, their selfless service, not just to Townsville, but beyond. And many are still battling flames or helping with the recovery now. And so 12 months on, we take stock, we reflect, we learn, and we celebrate our progress. And we push on with the rest of the job. We may have been knocked down, but we are definitely getting up again. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the other important issue which I'd like to speak about this evening is the issue that is adversely impacting many of North Queenslanders, and it's insurance. As you're no doubt aware, Townsville was hit by that natural disaster I just spoke about. Thousands of locals have been displaced from their homes, had significant damages to their homes and their income, and during this time, sustained much stress. It is extremely disheartening to see insurance companies take advantage of the situation through what can only be described as price gouging. Deputy Speaker, I refuse to sit by as premiums keep rising. Property owners are forced out of the market, and people of my electorate of Herbert are suffering with nowhere to turn. Make no mistake, we're in the grip of an insurance crisis and market failure. That is why the ACCC has been instructed to conduct its investigation into the cost of insurance in Northern Australia, so we can shine a light on this despicable issue and respond accordingly. While the final report of the inquiry isn't due until the end of the year, recent hearings have all but confirmed what we already know. North Queenslanders, who have already been hit by a once-in-a-500-year devastating flood, are now being hit again. We've heard time and time again stories of people in the electorate of Herbert who are now being forced to pay significant higher premiums on their homes, contents, vehicles and businesses. Things have gotten so bad that I've heard many stories from people who say they can no longer afford to cover themselves because premiums are simply too high. The sheer stress for those who can no longer afford insurance is harrowing. This is a national disgrace and something which must be fixed as a matter of priority. Combined home and contents insurance premiums rose by 130% in Northern Australia between 2007 and 8 and 17 and 18. This is compared to the rise of 50% across the rest of Australia. The average cost for combined insurance in North Queensland is $2,400, more than $1,000 above the average cost of the rest of Australia, whose premiums average $1,300. This situation simply is not good enough. I understand that tackling the problem is complex, and I'm grateful that the responsible minister, the Assistant Treasurer, was able to come to Townsville and speak with residents of our city firsthand. Minister Sukkar heard just how significant ongoing insurance issues to the people of North Queensland were. The stories we heard at the forum and continue to hear are shocking and are a great cause for concern. The people of Townsville, North Queensland, have reached crisis point. We currently have organisations such as the Anglican Church of North Queensland forced to self-insure their properties and their insurance premiums go up by 500%. We have family-owned and run businesses left devastated as they continue to pick up the pieces and rebuild their lives and their businesses. Some people, particularly in strata-titled properties, simply cannot access insurance. We've seen the Townsville RSL flood insurance increase tenfold and nursing homes on the brink of closure. This simply isn't good enough. We are right now in the midst of a disaster season. Time is of the essence. We need less talk, more action. So some of that talk, I'm happy to take interjections as we go through, but we could get rid of stamp duty. The Labor state government could get rid of stamp duty in North Queensland and for disaster places around Australia. And what we need to be doing is encouraging the Premier to find where her spine should be located and get rid of stamp duty, which would lower the premium by 10%. And the first 10 things of the ACCC report is about the state government. And that's exactly, that's exactly, I agree with you, the state government is about all talk and no action, and they have done nothing. And it's a shame, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because they don't care about North Queensland. They only care about propping up their coffers for the next state election. And it's a shame that the people of North Queensland are being treated once again treated poorly and like mugs by the Labor state government, and they really should look after us. Thank you.
I call the member for Kingsford.